August 28, 2020. I want to talk a little bit about the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin with the 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse now being charged or has been for a day or so. And the idea here is, as any attorney would tell you, and I'm not an attorney, and I'm glad I don't play one on television. The sun's going up and down out here like crazy. It's a cloudy day, so I control the horizontal and the vertical, and at this point, the sun controls the brightness and tone. I control the tone. Right? So the reality is, should the kid have went from Illinois to Wisconsin, borrowed a gun from a friend, and went to this protest to protect property and people from violence of the protests and riots that have been erupting in the protests, from the protests. First of all, there's a question, the main question will become for the court. I mean, was there intent to come from Illinois, get a gun in Wisconsin, and kill people? No, I doubt that. Did he bring the gun from Illinois? He could have, but they say he borrowed it from a friend. Would that make a difference? No, it was self-defense. Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself. And the people who came at him are not very smart. I think they've been watching too many video games. Bullets are real. And powder, black powder, burns. So nonetheless, 2 people are dead and 1 wounded. Nonetheless, should he be tried? I don't really think so, but they'd say, oh, you're a white guy or something. You're from Ohio where they have guns, and maybe that's part of it. The reality is, when you go to a protest and you plan on being violent or you become violent and you don't have the ability to see the future and know that this could be a violent event and things could get out of control. And that's either if you're on the left or the right. Because the leftist folks right now are protesting, which is acceptable, and then they want to start riots, loot, burn, hurt people, murder people. There's a lot of shooting and killing going on, just straight out murders all over the United States. Baltimore, Chicago, Shreveport, Louisiana, Birmingham, Alabama. Look around, LA, look around. So what does it mean? Well, it's probably pretty stupid to go out and take a gun on the streets of America loaded, even semi-auto that you can them off fast, although you had some restraint, and think you might not have to use it. So once you go to the street with that gun, there's a good chance you're going to have to use it. And in this case, he did have to use it. He was threatened, and they even tried to take it away from him. And he ended up killing 2 and wounding another. Now, the reality is, it always looks better from, before we've seen it. We got to have a right to protest. The people do have a right to bear arms in America. It's the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment's what keeps the First Amendment open, right? We have free speech because of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. So don't forget about that reason. So what happened? Well, if everyone would have stayed home, nothing would have happened in Kenosha. But people protested, and a kid, 17 years old, and if I was out walking with a loaded gun on the street when I was 17, and by then I had been hunting, with my father for 10 plus years and using a gun for 8, and the reality is my dad would have kicked my ass for going out on the street with a loaded firearm, shotgun, handgun, anything, rifle, name it, especially a rifle. They go a long way. 22 round, and that's a 223 in the AR-15, just a bigger 22 with a larger powder burst. Those rounds will go a mile. They don't stop till it hits something that stops it. That means if there's 2 or 3 people lined up in a row, you're going to take all of them out or part of them. Of course, a 22 will spin around a little bit more than a heavy round. Heavy round, go through all 3, 4 people. Keep going until it hits a wall or something. Nonetheless, you don't want to hit a wall. You might want to think about it when you're going out to protest. It's good, but you don't want to get into looting and rioting. You might get shot, and especially if you attack somebody with a firearm. And for those people taking the firearms out, it is a right under the Second Amendment. But you might want to back the truck up a second and say, hey, man, do I want to take this semi-auto rifle out onto the streets with all these crazy people trying to start shit every moment? And if you do, maybe you better stay in a group with other armed people. And then if anything goes down, you can open up and it'll just be a street sweeping job, a massacre. And that'll just clean up part of the town anyway, I guess, one way or another. Or maybe the protesters will bring guns next time. I think that's where it goes. And I'm going to leave it there. I got no real answer here. People are rational, but they're animals too. Human animals with rationality. Stewardship towards each other and nature is missing for many of those individuals. Have a good day. Peace out, y'all.